left us. And some words can take on an entirely different weight overnight. Sitting beside Johnny Carson, she once left him with a promise that was pure Dolly, heartfelt enough to soften you, then instantly turning the whole studio into a burst of laughter. But beneath the sparkling outfits and unbeatable back and forth was a television friendship that grew over many years, making every piece of footage left behind feel like a goodbye today. Stay with us until the end, because Johnny's quiet smile in the latest visit included here makes all of this harder to watch in the most beautiful way. And if you miss television that felt this warm, join Classic tonight as we step back into it tonight. 1. Dolly takes over the show the moment she sits down beside Johnny, and it happens to be her birthday. She walks in as a new guest, but within moments, the room welcomes her like an old friend. Watching it now, that applause feels like a door opening onto a very long television friendship, while the audience can already feel the questions sliding into dangerous territory. Dolly neither dodges nor rushes to rescue him. She lets the whole room tighten up, then releases it with a perfectly straight face that leaves Carson with nothing to do but laugh. On classic television, an outfit could almost become a third guest, and Dolly understood that better than anyone. She never gets defensive about people looking at her. She turns her own glamorous image into part of the fun before anyone else can decide what to ship. She never romanticized them, but she never let the memories become heavy either. The audience laughs, and then feels closer to her, because beneath that featherlight delivery is an entire childhood she never once accessed. Johnny's curiosity here sounds completely genuine, as though he has forgotten he is conducting an interview. Dolly protects the private world she shares with her husband, while still letting Carson step close enough for the story to feel warm. She holds that boundary so lightly, tries to understand the farther Dolly leads him from any ordinary answer. This is chemistry no one could script. One person asks with total sincerity, the other answers with a perfectly innocent face, and the studio catches onto the game before the man behind the desk does. For a sad song, then Johnny accidentally chooses the one line that breaks the mood wide open. Dolly catches his slip instantly. On her very first appearance, she already gives us the whole person audiences would love for decades, someone who sings with her entire heart, but never lets a room stay sad for too long. 2. Dolly comes back and brings the whole family with her. Nearly all the caution of that first meeting is gone. Johnny greets Dolly with an image only he could come up with. She accepts it and sends it right back, and the guest chair already feels like a place she has always visited, rather than somewhere she is sitting from her hometown into the studio without needing a single photograph. The story is playful until her voice softens as she mentions her mother being in the hospital, and Johnny naturally lowers his tone too. Hearing it today, that small shift reminds us that Dolly's warmth always lived right beside to tell a story that might not belong on television. But her eyes make it clear that no one can stop her now. Johnny does not interrupt, he simply waits, knowing Dolly understands exactly where the room is and exactly where she is taking it. Late-night television is willing to sit still and listen. There is no need for a constant stream of jokes, only Dolly's voice, rebuilding an entire mountain community through the sound of a church bell. Moments like this made Carson's show feel more like America's shared living room than a contest for attention. Plain, heartfelt sincerity. And Johnny gently adds one more beat at the end. Dolly does not compete for the laugh or rush ahead. She lets it land. By then, the two of them understand each other well enough to know that chemistry sometimes means giving the other person. Ordinary meeting has characters, suspense, and an ending that pulls Carson into the story. I tosses in a mischievous thought, and she admits she wishes she had come up with it first. It is the kind of exchange with no winner, only a story that suddenly has to ask one question and step back, because Dolly builds the whole scene in front of the audience. The tour bus, the yard, and the man quietly playing a prank. She talks about the people she loves, with an unforced tenderness that makes them present in the studio without ever appearing on camera. Onto the stage. Carson knows when to joke and when to let Dolly own the room. Watching her smile at the end, it is hard to believe that such a force of energy now belongs to memory. 3. The song that leaves Johnny unable to hide his feelings. She still speaks about the show with nearly the same gratitude. Their relationship exists mostly beneath studio lights, but the affection feels real. Sometimes television creates a friendship and its own partner is placed on the table, and both of them immediately start making it less formal. Johnny opens the door. Dolly charges through with a perfectly calm face, and the audience knows they are watching two people comfortable enough to turn a tribute into their own private routine. The subject could have stopped another conversation cold, but Carson asks gently, and Dolly answers without becoming guarded. The humor does not erase the tension. It simply lets her stay in control of her own story, just as Dolly always did. Whenever an uncomfortable moment reached that middle of a show filled with jokes, they suddenly pause over something very simple: the feeling that they might become closer friends if they saw each other more often. Neither of them tries to turn it into a grand declaration. Maybe that is why, watching those two faces today, this brief exchange stays with us the longest. Then, Dolly picks up her guitar, and the temperature of the room changes. She is no longer a guest promoting something. She is giving Johnny a gift that could exist only on that particular night, on that particular stage. Carson is still smiling, but it is the smile of a man who knows he is about to be touched in. 4. A Christmas that feels like goodbye now. Greeting, mischievous and affectionate at once, and their familiar rhythm returns as though no time has passed. Joe has barely returned from commercial when Dolly makes the stage feel crowded with an entire extended family. Johnny does not rush toward a joke. He asks about her earliest Christmas memory, opening a gentler conversation, and perhaps the part of this visit that has stayed with people the longest. Dolly tells the story without trying to force tears, simply placing each small detail in front of the listener. Parents who were still very young, a house full of children, and a gift everyone agreed to give up for their mother. Carson almost disappears from the rhythm of the story, lending his desk to the memory as it passes through. When the ring is finally found, the family's joy appears intact in Dolly's voice. There are no illustrations and no music pushing the emotion, only a storyteller good enough to make the studio see the tiny lights and the children crying alongside their mother. Carson asks what she once longed for, and for a few seconds Dolly becomes a little girl, looking through the pages of a catalog again. That small wish leads into a larger memory of her mother being away at Christmas. She always knew how to turn a private story into a feeling everyone recognized. The story might sink too low. Dolly's father appears in the memory with a kind of comfort that is clumsy and lovely at once. The laughter returns without damaging the emotion that came before it. That was also the rhythm Dolly carried throughout her life. Sorrow was faced directly, but joy was always invited. There is no grand farewell speech in this footage. There is only laughter, stories about family, a song written just for Johnny, and the look on his face whenever Dolly lights up the studio. Maybe that is the goodbye that fits her best. If you would like to help Classic Tonight, keep these legends alive one more time. Tell us your favorite Dolly moment and subscribe to the channel.